Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Professor Stinson and the rest of our Com30 classmates. My name is Harold De Leon, and I'm part of Group 3, better known as Team Squidly, along with Brittany Ken and Evelyn Mata. As I've mentioned, we call ourselves Team Squidly. We chose this name because there are only three of us, and we decided to use this motif of threes. While researching for things that came in threes, we came upon an interesting fact that octopi and squids have three hearts. Uh, and we thought that octopi and squid were a perfect metaphor for groups, as we can think of each group member sort of making up one of the tentacles, and together they make up the octopus or the squid. Uh, and they're portrayed as being able to do a lot of things. And like each group member will be able to do a different thing in a task. We continue to play around with the idea of the hearts, heartbeats, what uses beats, music, what's part of a song, a rhythm, and that's how we came up with our slogan, Three Rhythms Making a Song. Uh, our logo was made by our talented group mate, Brittany Ken. For our group meetings, we use Discord, which is a computer application that allows us to not only voice chat, but also video chat with one another and send files through it. We also use the Remind app and Canvas to keep in touch with one another outside of our regularly scheduled group meetings. Remind we use primarily to send quick messages to one another that we would need a much faster response than an email would probably provide. Or, just in case someone's not at their computer and can't get to their email, or they're doing something where they can just answer a quick text, Remind is great for that. And we use Canvas primarily to post our written responses to the group discussion questions. We meet on Mondays and Wednesdays from 2 to 3 p.m. During our Monday meetings, we read through the assigned chapter for that week as a group. And when we're done reading, we go through the chapter. We point out things we found interesting or things that might have confused us. And we also go through the assignments that the professor has posted up. And on Wednesdays, we use to formulate our responses to the group discussion questions. At least that's what we do normally. If something big like this presentation comes up, we use Mondays for the group discussion questions, and we will use Wednesdays to take the time to discuss whatever project is coming up. During our group meetings, each one of us has a certain role that we took up. For this presentation, we used some fancy titles that we thought would sound a little cool. We also didn't force anyone to take any of these roles. These are just the roles that we fell into naturally from our very first group meeting. Brittany is our group stenographer. In other words, she's the note taker. She writes down any interesting or good responses that we have to questions. She also writes down the responses that we come up with for the group discussions when we discuss those on Wednesdays. Evelyn is our group enforcer. She makes sure that first and foremost we are treating each other with respect, and she makes sure that we're not breaking any of the rules that we agreed to. She is also the one who will enforce any of the sanctions and punishments that we agreed to. And I, Harold, am the group taskmaster. Essentially what I do is I help keep the meetings productive by making sure that we're not socializing too much, although we do socialize a little bit. I also move the group from one assignment to the other once I feel that we've completed one, or that we've got a good grasp on the assignment, and I'm the one who turns in most of the group work. So things like the posts for the group discussions or even this presentation, I'm the one turning those in. From our very first meeting, we decided to set out a goal for our group. The goal we decided was going to be not only for this semester, but also for every group meeting that we attend. And that goal is to manage our time as effectively as possible in order to be as productive as possible, in order to pass the class with the best grade possible. To elaborate on the rules and norms of the group, I'm going to be passing it on over to my groupmate, Brittany Ken.
The rules and norms of this group is to be on time for group meetings. If you can't make it or have an unexpected event on the day of the group meeting, it is best to contact or notify someone within the group that you can't make it at all. The second rule is participating within the group meeting and discussing with one another. If you don't speak or contact to others, it will highly affect the group. The third rule is coming into a group meeting without any ideas of the topic we are talking about. It's fine, however, not speaking or telling your ideas to your group members is not fine, since that idea may change discussion or can help the discussion. The fourth rule is paying attention. Paying attention is a big priority. Our group can talk a lot if it's about certain group topics or a big project coming up within the class, and not keeping up with us can be a big disadvantage. The fifth rule is that everyone has their own way of communication, especially during virtual group meetings. You can turn on the camera if you like, but it is entirely optional. If your preference is to speak within the chat room, you are more than welcome to, and talking on the microphone is not mandatory or required for group meetings. The sixth rule is assigning work. Everybody should be responsible for their own work. We do not assign work to each and every group members by force. Rather, the group members choose what type of work they are comfortable with. If you need any help or want to ask a question to any of us, it is best to contact us through Discord, Canvas, or Remind. Our very important last rule is meeting the deadline. If you cannot meet the deadline, please contact either one of us or all of us before the deadline starts. All group members should meet the deadline and should participate within the group to complete the deadline on time.
Hello, my name is Evelyn Mata, and I'll be discussing punishments and sanctions. So this is basically for unwanted, disruptive behavior or for someone that's breaking the rules. So right now the platform that we're using is Discord, and there's obviously different functions to it. And one of the things that it allows us to do is create separate chat rooms. And this is something that connects to our first 2 points that I will be discussing. So the first point would be that members would be pulled aside and talked to. So Discord allows us to create different chat rooms. So if this member is being obviously rude, we have a private room where members are gonna have a private one-on-one conversation. So it's only those two persons that are gonna be connected, and not everybody's gonna be able to listen to it. So it's a private room for that member that's being disruptive. Then the next point is the timeout room, which is also for someone that's being disrupted, rude, or it's just making unwanted jokes or immature jokes. They're gonna be put in a timeout so they could reflect and they can realize that their comments are really maybe hurtful or very disgusting or rude. So that's also part something that we're able to do via Discord. The next point was if someone also is obviously making unwanted jokes or just they're just rude and they just are very disruptive, the host is able to mute them. So obviously they could be pushing the button, unmute themselves, mute themselves or stuff like that. They lose basically that privilege, and the host just is able to mute them. Obviously, right here it's just only for 1 minute. Then the next point is that most of the time we have members that join late to the meetings. Sometimes they do let some of the members know in advance, but if these group members that are late without an excuse or not letting anybody know, they have to do something embarrassing. In this case, it's not something very embarrassing. It's just something little, and that is making an animal noise. For them, it's supposed to be embarrassing. It might not be, but that is their punishment. The next point is recount meetings so far. So if someone is just inactive in the meeting, they're not discussing some of the assignments or topics that we're supposed to discuss as a group, or we just think they're distracted, or we just don't think they're paying attention, we will ask them to basically sum up what we have been discussing so far, and they have to tell us and let us know basically that they are paying attention, because so far everything is at home, everything is done at home, so everybody does get distracted and it might be tough, so we just don't want them to get lost. And the next one is repeated offenses. So if someone just is constantly making rude comments or basically just rude jokes, stuff like that, more than 3 times constantly in different occasions, we will have to basically let them know that if they don't stop, then that we will have a chat with the professor, and we're gonna let them know that this member is just really immature. They are not cooperating, and if they could be removed from our group. And these are basically all the punishments that we have set up in our groups, and we'll thank you for your time.
Thank you for listening to our presentation, and we hope you have a great rest of your week.